Hecarim picking up that kill might be key to it. Crown is just short the recipe of the Blade of the Ruined King. Again, not enjoying the laning phase in mid. I guess they want to rotate Fury into the mid lane to clear waves against the Lulu, but taking a turret in one of the outer lanes, maybe just bringing Fizz back to top, ganking the Rumble again, and pushing down a turret to allow that lane rotation. Maybe that is what needs to happen in perhaps the next 5 minutes for Samsung.
Well, that's probably why Tom is busy hanging around the top side right now, getting some more wards down. They want to keep Baron safe, and here we go. Fury getting low, another Cully coming through. Glacial Fissure already used, bang. It's gonna maybe get stunned right here. Gotta be a little bit careful. Gets pushed back by the Condemn. Here comes Bliss, but he will be seen by that ward in the Tri-Brush. So a lot of skirmishing in this bottom lane.
Definitely a lot of scrapping. This is a lane that gets better and better for Vayne. Once she gets more attack speed, it's so much cleaner to just tumble past the Q trades that Lucian is really reliably able to hit in the early game. Because you max Silver Bolts first, you don't have Tumble on a super short cooldown, but you know, you get to level 13, have 5 points in both, and suddenly Fury just can't match the damage being put out from Vayne, especially without the Infinity Edge.
Backing off right here, and he has no sustain either in this lane. Tom is there, and they want this turret. Looks like they are going to get it in the end. Samsung waves the white flag and retreats from their tower. And one thing we were talking about yesterday that's interesting is the slight Vayne buffs actually in this patch 5.14, where now her tumble cooldown starts when she releases the projectile as opposed to when it hits. And it may sound small, it is not the biggest buff ever, but when we talk about its synergy with Vayne's passive and her ability to chase down champions, it really does make a big difference in catching people who are running away.
Just in kiting and weaving and those skirmishes you talked about, it's just cleaner to be able to both dodge projectiles and get in the extra damage. And you think about the last time Riot made a buff like that, of course it was to Varus. That was a more severe buff when it comes to the Q. That's why we saw the rise of mid Varus, but it's, you know, in the same order of things for Vayne, and Vayne was already one of the top 80 carry picks in, for example, the LPL. It's still rising in Korea, but we're seeing it more and more from the likes of OQ and now Bang, who are really defaulting back towards the Vayne.
Yeah, I think it's a great change for Vayne, and I'm happy we get to see more of her. Always a fun champion to enjoy playmaking.
You don't enjoy Jungle Fizz, do you, Monstrous?
No, I don't. I think it's bad.
Look, at least it's not the on-hit Jungle Fizz that Tucson brought out with the...
the Devourer Fizz was...
Devourer Wits End Fizz, weren't a big fan of that one. Now we're finally seeing AP Fizz, okay? It at least does one thing, it bursts well. He has the early lead in both farm and in kills, so potentially might be able to get a very early Zhonya's and team fight with it, but still not your class of champion.
No, I just find it questionable with all of the other decisions that one can make in the game of League of Legends, particularly with so many strong junglers right now. All right, Samsung may be making a crazy Baron play right now. They do have great wards. They're at least going to bait it. Wolf is the one to check it right now. They see that nobody's on it with the help of the Scrying Orb. They should be very... Oop, nobody's in there. Where'd they go? Oh, they just backed off. That was not very exciting at all, Papa Smithy.
The OGN Observer made it more exciting than it perhaps actually was. You said the word questionable a lot of times in today's broadcast. Marin's teleport, the Fizz jungle, some of the play around the lanes. This is what happens when there's nothing on the line, but at least they're experimenting. At least we're learning things. AP Jungle Fizz doesn't seem to be awful, at least.
No, I think it's certainly an improvement over other jungle fizzes that we've seen. I know that doesn't say a whole lot. I've seen Spirit playing Jungle Fizz a lot over in the LPL right now. I haven't really been impressed by it.
They're doing pretty well, yeah? Right up the top.
WE, right at the top of the standings, first going into playoffs. Excellent squad.
Maybe in golf terms they'd be doing well, because I believe they're 9 under first place.
Getting the It's about how many birdies you get in the standings, right? Spenu is killing it right now.
I was sorry, actually. It would be 11 under, because, of course, there's 12 teams in the LPL. Oh, dear. World Elite. Once proud. No, not so proud.
Well, this mid turret getting very low from EasyHoon's repetitive poking and pushing.
They get the rotation I was talking about, Lucian in the middle to clear waves, but it's actually at the cost of their outer towers. All three of them down.
Uh-oh. Marin on the run right now. There's the fish. Nice hit. Marin will die in a 1v1 to Samsung's jungler.
When you have that much AP on Fizz, it's easy to do Montegro, so they take that out of turret. Marin is an afterthought. Luna might be caught. In fact, yeah, definitely caught.
He is unbreakable. Will not save him. Wolf engages with the flash, and now SK Telecom. They're just going to go for this Baron. 20 seconds until Marin, but he has the TP, and no one is anywhere close to this. They know Bliss was just the bottom side, so this should be a very easy Baron to take.
Waiting for the teleport from Hecarim. It's quite far away. Baron falls down to 3,000.
Yep, they're going to get it for sure. The question is, what will the fight afterwards look like? There's the Baron, and it will be taken by Tom. They've already engaged EasyHoon with the Zhonya's Hourglass Fury, firing the culling into the pit. Bliss right now gets his own Zhonya's, just finished it on that last recall, and there is EasyHoon trying to get away. He will not be popped. Tom manages to save him with a nice unburrow. Marin is now there. Marin has already used the equalizer. That is not going to be available for him. He is now running back underneath his mid lane turret. Samsung pursuing. I don't know if Samsung should really think about diving this. Fish, and there we go. There's the dive. Dash forward from Crown and Fury, but they actually get the kill. Nicely played by Samsung. Good dive in the end.
2 kills and a mid turret traded for Baron certainly is the advantage of SKT. Samsung, remember, 3 minutes ago had their own pink wards over to Baron. We're thinking about the cheese you mentioned. SKT took control. Bliss, he's basically been best friends with the robot unicorn horse, but unfortunately all that's causing is these mismatches where there's so much pressure on the diametrically opposite side, and that's why the Baron was started by SKT.
Yeah, and it was taken, but it was just so close to having Marin there prior to the Baron fight. It was a very close call in the end. Equalizer does come down into the pit. Tom and EasyHoon getting away. EasyHoon has the pop go off, but Crown delayed just long enough, and he will miss the shuriken. But EasyHoon had his shield anyway, so not going to make the biggest difference. This is a nice dive, though, actually. Wolf just gets the minion wave with the headbutt. And now let's take a look at this. It didn't look like Marin was under that much threat with Wolf right there, but just very high burst damage. Good coordination between Bliss, Crown, and Fury for the dive damage.
And just look at the gold difference, because as we were watching that replay, Cuvée took down top. Now turrets are all even. Gold is certainly fairly close to even, especially considering 1,500 gold came in from the Baron. Wolf looking for the dive.
Now they want to get onto Bang. There is the wild growth, and Crown is just destroyed. They have to chase him all the way back as he pops his flash back to his ghost.
There's no one defending for Samsung. They're pushing themselves. I don't really like the chances of being able to out-push SKT. And what will this eventual trade look like? Samsung are backing off, but they're going to look who's at minimum the inhibitor turret, and almost certainly the inhibitor.
Yes, inhibitor will go down right here, especially since Tom is there delaying some crucial recalls. 3 people back. It's not going to be enough to stop the 3-man squad of SKT from getting the inhibitor. Glacial Fissure will knock up Bang. Bang now trying to kite this one out. Bliss right there in the back line does use his Zhonya's to live momentarily, but guess what? Bang is still there. Bang is still going to kill you because of the Lulu shield. Meanwhile, Tom and Cuvée have managed to continue their epic conflict all the way across the map. And Marin is there already pushing up the mid lane so that they can get even more out of this Baron buff. 40 seconds now until Dragon.
Tom was deceptively the hero, stopping Cuvé's recall to make it only a 3v3 at the inhibitor rather than the 4v3 it would have been if Hecarim could have finished the recall. Already lost their inhibitor in a bad trade. Gonna probably be this inner turret, only a couple hits away. Yes, goes down as well. Samsung, they're not super far behind, but they've certainly taken the worst end of the trade from SKT.
Well, with that, it does look like Samsung has more than likely run out of gas with their split push / pick composition. SK Telecom bringing the fight to them, forcing the engagement around the Baron. They get the Baron anyway and are able to capitalize off it, even though they lost a couple members on their way out. Definitely was the right call. It was so close to Samsung getting there too. Had it been delayed by a couple more seconds and they would have gotten away with it scot-free, basically.
Bang takes the red buff and gets away. Looks like Samsung are putting multiple members to try and get this pick. You see the issue, the big issue when Samsung were the team to actually lose their turrets first is that when you have those enemy turrets down, there's so many more safe places to move. Suddenly it's so much harder to force choke points where you can put a pink ward down and get a pick with the likes of Fizz. When the map's more open because you've taken the outer turrets, less risky places to walk, and suddenly the reliability of getting the picks is completely opposite to if Samsung had been the team to pick up the first 3 outer turrets of this game.
Yeah. It's that map pressure definitely does change quite a bit. Fish looks like it missed onto Lulu in the top side. Yes, it did. And Easyun doesn't even care about the Jungle Fizz right now. He is on a mission to kill this horse. He's going to be just as fast as that Hecarim. He will back off. It's a little bit more dicey to follow it up. Uwe escapes, at least for the moment, but they're still furiously pushing down that top side wave. They want that next inhibitor in the top lane. Take out a tier 2 first before they could do that.
There's awkward mismatches in the 1-3-1 across the map to the point where Vayne will comfortably win a 1v1 against Zed now that she's finished the QSS. Hecarim struggling to beat even the Lulu and split push terms. Samsung picked for the 1-3-1, but somehow SKT actually had the superior 1-3-1.
Well, that is what getting ahead can do, and having those proper lane assignments just very difficult to kill the Lulu right now. And they are going to siege up. SK Telecom doesn't have the best composition for sieging, so have to be careful about Lucian and Zed damage to their damaged champions in the front line. But look at that chunk taking out of Kuve. He only has a Glacial Shroud right now, so not going to be blocking too much of that Vayne's damage.
Easyhoon just has so much ability, about 529 already. You can see the Whimsies applying the 80% speed buff. The AP damage coming through is not mitigated because, of course, these are assassins, not tanks on the Samsung Galaxy side. When we see jungle Nidalee, you always raise the question, where's the Aegis coming from? And unless Luna has one, no one on Samsung's going to get one.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So, Rumble Lulu damage not being mitigated. Fish will fly wide to the left.
And just saw from Luna, no chance of an Aegis, just a Ruby Crystal in the infantry on top of just the core of the mobility boots and the side stones. So, Marin, it's not the death cap, but, with no resist on the enemy side, feeling pretty good himself. Game's been played around the Rumble for once. Didn't require the carry performance from Marin's Rumble this time.
Here we go. More damage onto the turret. Not quite enough to crack it at this stage. They're going to recall Baron up in 10. Turning their sights to that objective. They really do need Baron to kill these towers in the end because of their relatively poor siege. I'd like to see Lulu get a Lichbane right now. I think that would actually be a good pickup for her, or the Harbinger. Harbinger would be great.
The Harbinger would be super cool because we're just, we're speculating after watching the amazing Juggernaut performance between KT and Ku not a couple of weeks ago. Suddenly you add in something different, like the potential to have 50% extra crit, 10, 20 minutes earlier than you would have naturally been able to itemize. We're talking double Phantom Dancer, Infinity Edge amounts of crit required to kind of emulate that. There's some exciting team fights that are going to happen in subsequent games in Champions.
But it's even more efficient in against this composition. You have 3 AD threats in Hecarim, Zed, and Lucian. So that armor has never been more valuable than it is right now.
And with Zhonya's, you drop the fish, you drop the percentage damage amp. Okay, it's not magic resist, but it's still pretty damn effective against the Fizz already. So, look, if you're going to go kind of a defensive choice, if you don't have the 40% CDR and the extra CDR from the Glacial Shroud, item path will help. Maybe we'll see it.
Maybe we will. I hope we will. Well, it looks like that pink ward can't actually see the green ward in the brush right there, so they have to sweep it out. And now Bang with a big shield on him will be pursuing this Zed, who is trying to flee, but you're probably not going to escape that Bane. Meanwhile, Wild Growth actually used on a Tom right now. That means it's not available for Bang. Bang just going to have to kite this one out. He will do that successfully, as Hecarim is the first to fall in this team fight. Now we see the Whimsy pursuit, and with that passive, Bane is so quick with the Whimsy, but they will not push it any further. They're just going to go and do the Baron.
Honestly, things couldn't have gone much better for Samsung. They separated threats. Bang was canceling auto attacks throughout the fight just because people were weaving in and out, but still, Samsung couldn't find the pick they so desperately need on either Easy Hoon or Bang. And there's no one around to pressure this Baron. First Baron really opened up the game for SKT. Second one probably going to put the death knell for Samsung.
Probably just one more push coming in, as you note. And that should be about it for this one. Taking a look at that fight again.
Just watch Bang, because of course Bang is the MVP, tries to initiate, does have Lulu in her pocket, so can be aggressive, but there's just no threats because everyone's so slippery on the side of Samsung, but they'll eventually get the pick, SKT, and get the objective anyway.
Yeah, there's the equalizer going down on 2 members, and this was just great team fighting. First off, we see Bang not overcommit to the Zed kill, just go back after you chunk him out because he's no longer a threat. Rejoin your team and just kite it out, get their front line, because without that front line, Zed cannot do anything.
You can just definitely see the Vayne mechanics from Bang. It's not quite the Vayne we saw the last series when we saw Bang pull out this champion. Again, he's not the sort of person who makes those OQ moments like OQ. Look, OQ would probably have played that engage very differently, but might have died, whereas Bang shows that little bit of extra restraint to never over-chase, despite all the chasing in the kit and that Lulu provides in this comp.
Yeah, really much more trusting, I think, in his front line than OQ is over on Najin, realizing that his teammates will help him out in that regard, and he doesn't have to get all of those up-front kills to make it work. So, yes, very interesting, as you say, to see the difference in play styles, but Bang right now, he does have those top 2 spots in the Korean ladder. He's actually the first Korean player ever to hit over 1,400 league points in Challenger.
He's definitely an inform. You just notice the little differences between him and other top AD carries, which, again, we're not passing judgment on him. He didn't need to go any more aggressive. He made the smart choice, and they got the objective out of it. So, a very effective player for this team. And the carry they need when Faker just enjoys his holiday on the sidelines.
Faker on holiday.
You know his holiday's probably solo queuing right, Monte Cristo.
That's, yeah, well, you don't get to be as good as him without some pretty insane dedication to the game.
Wonder how he goofs off in solo. I mean, I have some idea he likes to play support for Captain Jack.
I was gonna say,
but in the mid lane, you know, maybe he's like, okay, I'm not gonna play Victor. Speaking of playing Crown, he's dead.
Wow. And that was a whole lot of damage coming in from Bang. And there's a double kill, nearly unassisted by his team. Just Bang is so far ahead.
It's just ridiculous. He was ahead in CS in the laning matchup. The Avarice Blade and Berserker Greaves by certainly helpless. That's not going to hit, mate. Bang looks hella threatening in the front.
Yeah, he does. And with that Vayne passive combined with the Whimsy, it is just impossible to get away from Bang. Once he gets onto you, you are going to eat those auto attacks. You pretty much just have to turn on him because you might as well deal some damage. There's no escaping.
See the benefits that not picking the Orianna meant that Lulu's so much easier to get around, so much more defensive. Cuba's knocked up. Bang, he's free-autoing, but there might not be any more kills to pad the stats.
Nope, just wants the turret right now. Easy Hoon flashing towards that fountain. There's the equalizer, keeping everyone locked up in there. Crown going for a last desperation kill, but he is going to end the game.